I'm Hecate.
And I'm Zanzibar.
Hecate and the cowboy. Hecate, came a voice from my cave door. Hecate, I've got news. I looked around for Zanzibar, but he was curled up, asleep. Hecate, psst, it's me. The rustle of twigs told me my broomstick was trying to get my attention. I walked over to the door where my broomstick was standing. His twigs were up in the air, and he looked very pleased. "It's my cousin," he said. "He just sent me a message. He's coming to visit." "That's fantastic," I replied. "When will he be here?" "Well," answered my broomstick, rereading the message, "it's here somewhere." Then he gasped. "Oh, it's today," he said. "He's coming today from America. He sent the message by snail mail with Mr. Skeet. It's taken so long to get here that he and the letter are arriving at the same time." At that moment, there was a loud ring on our doorbell. "It must be him!" cried my broomstick. "I haven't seen him since we were twigs in school. We were best buds." I walked over to the door of the cave as the bell jangled again.
"Hey!"
came a voice from outside with a broad American accent.
"Y'all in there?"
My broomstick was rustling again and tidying up his twigs. I opened the door. You won't believe who was outside. Standing by my door was a cowboy wearing boots, spurs, jeans, a check shirt, and a red bandana. But it was his hat that made me stare. He had a huge 10-gallon hat that was part cowboy hat and part magician's hat. It was the strangest hat I'd ever seen. The cowboy wizard stood there with his broomstick. It had a horse's head on the end of the handle, complete with bridle and reins.
"Why, howdy, ma'am,"
said the cowboy.
"I'm Cowboy Jeff, the Magic Man from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And this here is my steadfast steed, Twigger."
Twigger, I thought. Okay. "Hello," I said. "I'm Hecate, and this is my broomstick. His name is Broomstick. And he says he and your steed were very close growing up. They come from the same branch of the family."
"Yes, indeed,"
said Cowboy Jeff.
"Ma'am, can we come in?"
And Cowboy Jeff and Twigger came into the cave. "Can I fetch you some beetle tea?" I asked Cowboy Jeff. He nodded and asked for it with ice. I hurried to the kitchen, but we didn't have any ice. A quick ice spell would fix that. Dirty socks and small white mice, big brown box and Indian spice, scrunchadilla in a trice. Mix them up and make some ice. A freezing cold wind roared through my cave. A slow blizzard came through. Instantly, everything froze. I looked at Zanzibar's bowl of water and saw several of our mouse friends skating on it. "Excuse me," I said politely, "but I need some ice." "No problem," said one of the mice, taking out a tiny axe and cutting several squares of ice from the pond. Cowboy Jeff was shivering when I returned. "Here's your iced tea," I said, handing him a glass with the ice from the cat bowl pond. I must have made it too cold, I thought. Zanzibar appeared wearing a thick sweater, a scarf, mittens, and a ski hat. Holy Sputnik Kaboodlerai! Faster than lightning in the sky. Once around the weather vane, make it toasty warm again. The water in Zanzibar's bowl unfroze immediately. The mice went swimming, but Cowboy Jeff seemed very impressed.
That was cool!
He said, laughing. I laughed too. Cool. Ice. Get it? Well, I said, now that you're here, what do you want to do?
First things first,
said Cowboy Jeff.
I think we should get us some victuals.
Sounds good, I agreed. I can make worm and lizard stew. It's my speciality. Or you could have toad pie if I can find the one I hid under my sofa a few months ago. It's one of those dishes that gets better the longer you wait before eating it. Cowboy Jeff was looking at me as though he was about to be sick. Are you all right? I asked. Looks like you need some of my leaf and roots soup.
No, 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 no,
said Cowboy Jeff.
I think we need some real big American cowboy food. Stick to your ribs kind of food. I know,
he said with a big grin.
Let's make a barbecue.
A Barbie what? I asked him.
A barbecue,
he repeated. I thought Barbie was a doll, I said.
No, ma'am,
said Cowboy Jeff.
It's a way of cooking a steak.
A steak, I said, relieved that we were finally talking about the same thing. I can get you a steak. How long should it be?
Long?
Cowboy Jeff was puzzled.
Steaks aren't long. They can be thick. It depends on how much they weigh.
Why would you weigh a steak? I wondered. Wait a minute. I'll go and get one.
Ma'am, we'll need more than one,
called Cowboy Jeff. I left the cave and went outside. Dratted tadpoles, I thought. What does he want a steak for? And a Barbie, too. I was just about to make a spell for a steak and a Barbie when I thought it might be a good idea to make sure Cowboy Jeff didn't need anything else. I stuck my head round the door and asked him.
Hot dogs,
said Cowboy Jeff.
We need hot dogs too.
So, I had to get 3 things. A Barbie, a steak or 2, and hot dogs. And I needed a spell to make them all appear. Brilliant Barbies painted nails, juice of slippery, slimy snails, fur from puppy dogs wagging tails, leaves from trees blown down in gales. Mix together, cauldron brewer, make for me a barbecue. The cauldron coughed and spluttered, and suddenly a long, thin piece of wood sailed out, quickly followed by a pretty doll with long blonde hair and 3 small but very hairy puppies with thick fur. Finally, a second piece of wood popped out. I gathered them all up together and went back into the cave. Here you are, I said to Cowboy Jeff. 2 steaks, a Barbie, and 3 hot dogs. I didn't know what kind of dog you wanted, so I got the one with the thickest fur. They're bound to be hot every day. Cowboy Jeff was looking at me as if I had 2 heads. Then he started to laugh. And he laughed, and he laughed, and he laughed.
Oh, gee, Heckerty, You are a silly old witch. Yes, I said we needed a couple of steaks, hot dogs, and a barbecue. But I meant a steak, not a steak. A barbecue, not a cute Barbie. And hot dogs, not hot dogs. These poor puppies gotta be terribly hot because they're so darn near that big black pot you got right there. Let me put them outside so they can cool off.
Cowboy Jeff took the puppies outside. Then there were sounds of hammering as he started building something. The next thing I heard was an awesome spell, which he bellowed in his big, strong voice.
Toast the buns and grill the dogs. Stoke the fire. Move the logs. Steaks are sizzling. Wet your whistle. Beetlejuice with mint and thistle. Chow on down and tuck right in. Enjoy my cooking. Let's begin.
Soon delicious smells wafted through the cave. Then Cowboy Jeff reappeared. Gone was the cowboy magician hat. Now he wore a cowboy chef's hat and a big apron over his clothes.
It's ready,
he said.
Let the rodeo begin.
I had no idea what that meant, but we were hungry and ready to eat. Zanzibar and I feasted on the food Cowboy Jeff prepared. It was scrumptious, and I loved every mouthful. So this is barbecue. All too soon, Cowboy Jeff was checking the sun and saying it was time to skedaddle. I think he meant it was time to go. The two broomsticks came sweeping over to us, hugging each other and promising to stay in touch. Cowboy Jeff climbed onto his broomstick.
Hi-ho, Twigger!
He called as his broomstick leaned back and took off.
Let's saddle up and fly! Booyah!
As they rode off into the sunset, Zanz and I looked at each other. We were sure we'd be seeing Cowboy Jeff and Twigger again very soon. Thanks for being part of our adventures. Tap here to continue watching our videos right now. And tap here to subscribe to our channel. Love from Hecate.